Well, your book has some serious stories, and you touch on the plane crash. Can you tell us a little bit about that day?
I hated flying.
Yeah.
From,
We do.
from the first flight I ever took, I was with my mom, and I was like telling my manager at the time that I was in my band with, I was like, yo, I'm gonna die in a plane crash. I just had all these weird, yeah, and he was like, what are you talking about? You don't even have the money to fly. You don't fly. So it was always something that haunted me. Fast forward to 2009, AM and I were coming home from playing a T-Mobile party in South Carolina, and it was like a last-minute flight. We booked it. We were supposed to go home the next day, and we all agreed, me, my two best friends, and Adam, that we were going to go home that night. We went to the airport. Everything felt wrong, like,
Really?
yeah, like I called my pops from outside the plane, and I was like, yo, this plane is really small. I have a horrible feeling,
Wow.
If anything happens, make sure my kids are okay.
Stop
I love
it.
you. Yeah,
No
just
way.
the weirdest thing, yeah. And sure enough, a half hour later, they're calling like your son's in critical condition. He's been in a plane crash. 4 people have died, and he's going to be in a burn center in Georgia. So, yeah, we were basically just taking off, and our landing gear popped, and then it forced the plane out of control. And long story short, it caught fire. We were in the air, and then we came down. In the air, came down, and then finally we hit an embankment. And that was my cue. Every time we hit the ground, I honestly thought it was going to be lights out. Like I was just, my biggest fear in my whole, world was coming true. And when it finally stopped, I had already caught fire, so I tried to rescue as many people in the plane as I could.
You were on fire?
Yeah, because right in front of me when the plane hit the last embankment, everything was on fire. I think the only thing that wasn't on fire was my partner, Adam, that was on the left. And I tried to get to Chris and Che in front of me. My arms caught fire. On the way out, I shook Adam. He was unconscious. Then I kicked open the emergency exit. I jumped in out of the plane, unfortunately right into the jet, which holds all the fuel.
Yeah.
So my whole body caught fire.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I ran. I just ran for my life. Adam was smart enough to jump around the jet because he saw what happened to me when I jumped in the jet. And along the embankment was a highway, and I just heard someone out of a car like shouting like, stop, drop, and roll. And you learn that as a kid.
Yeah.
How many people think they're going to be on fire ever?
Right.
Yeah.
So I did just that, and then Adam actually patted my feet out because they were probably the worst off. And then about 15 seconds later, the plane blew up.